We got this story as an update. China lodges complaint after Biden says U.S. would defend Taiwan in a Chinese invasion. So this is it. I'm going to say this first and foremost. The White House has gone rogue. Now I know. Hold on. We just did a long segment talking about how Biden's brain is completely broken. And so you would assume the White House must do something to stop a mad king, right? You know, like, what was it? Robert Baratheon? He was the one who slayed the... No, I'm sorry. That's not true. That was, it was Lannister.
Oh, yeah.
Jamie Lannister.
Jamie Lannister killed the Mad King. Because the Mad King was nuts. And he regretted it and he felt bad about it.
What is it? Aegon Targaryen? What was that his name?
I don't know.
It was the Targaryen, the Mad
That's right. The Mad King. And so here we have Joe Biden, who I don't think mad is the right word. What's the right word? The daft?
Senile?
The deluded?
Dotard.
Dotard, yep.
Dotard.
The Dotard King.
The Dotard King.
The Dotard King. And so the White House is basically intervening and rejecting and denying the stated policies of the commander-in-chief. Now, here's what I'm going to say. The executive branch has gone completely rogue. I firmly believe that. I was thinking about this today because Joe Biden has now said 4 times it is the U.S. policy, 4 times, to militarily defend Taiwan. And every time he does, the White House goes, actually, that's not true. And it's like, well, I don't know who the spokesperson is, but the commander-in-chief just went to a press conference in Tokyo and said, we will. And the president, commander-in-chief, just went in 60 Minutes and said, this is our policy.
Yeah.
And when Scott Pelley said, you saying the U.S. Army would defend, he goes, yes, definitively. When the president says it, the duly elected commander-in-chief, that is the policy. He sets the policy. The White House intervened and says, no, it isn't. The DOJ intervenes. They do what they want. Look at Donald Trump. This has been happening under Trump and Biden. Plain as day, the executive branch has gone rogue. Under Donald Trump, they lied to him about the number of troops in Syria, rejecting his orders to get our troops out. Under Joe Biden, he is stating definitively over and over again our policies. Our position on Putin? No, they said that's not true. Our position on Taiwan? No, it's not true. If the president says it, you listen. Who is the person under Trump and now under Biden? Who are the people who are outright saying we will not listen to the commander-in-chief?
Yeah, no, it's more than one. Look at Deborah Birx, right, when she was going back to COVID stuff, and in her book she talks about how, yeah, I wouldn't give Trump those numbers. Yeah, I wouldn't share that data. Like, I wasn't going to share it with them because it would have screwed everything up. So she made a decision that I don't have to tell the president, so he can make decisions. I'm more powerful than the president, and I think at every policy issue there's someone who calls those shots. But the clean house has to be huge.
But there's no coincidence, especially when you look at the presidency, when it changes from Democratic to Republican. The national security state, American foreign policy, usually stays the same.
Yeah.
It's usually very hawkish. It's very neoconservative. It's very pro-war, and it's very pro-globalization, pro-IMF, World Bank policies that, of course, are spreading all this globalization around the world. What I think is happening here, if I could put on my conspiratorial hat, is that they literally wheel Biden into an interview, which he does very few of, and then they wheel him off after they take him off all the drugs. They put him at a table, just like a Fisher-Price table, and it has a button, it has a phone, but none of it actually works. And there's people behind the scenes truly calling the shots, just like they do in almost every other presidency. And Biden legitimately could be pressing the nuke button, could be calling people, talking to people, but it's all make pretend. It's all make believe. It's not real. And the people truly calling the shots are people who have more power than the president of the United States, and they probably meet in private, organize, and set policies that, of course, we've been following for many decades now that always go unquestioned, that every president promises to change when he's going to become president. Every president, when he runs on that campaign trail, says, I'm going to stop the wars, I'm going to stop the spying, I'm going to bring back American liberties, I'm going to bring back America. And none of them are able to do it.
I love the idea of this is a skit for you, Tim. I love the idea of president with his fake phone, his fake buttons, that when he calls and he's like, get me the president of France, and it's like, do your French accent. It's like oui, monsieur president, this is, and they're like, get me Germany. It's like, oh, who does German? This is the German prime minister.
It's like
this one guy.
He's like
chewing on the
rubber phone.
Give me
the president of Germany, and it's like, how do you
Yeah.
Hello, this is President of Germany. It's
Exactly.
like, why do you sound Russian? I did Russian.
Regarding whether or not
Yeah,
Joe Biden...
this is the president
Get
of
me the
Germany,
president of the
yeah.
Congo. It's like, no, man, I'm not doing that.
But what other?
Not doing that, not doing that.
But truly, what other evidence do you need than the current president of the United States to understand that there's a shadowy, secretive group really calling the things behind the scenes? What other evidence do you need?
It's not even a secret.
It's not a secret.
Under Donald Trump, they outright lied and blocked him from doing the things he ordered.
Yeah, if I went on CBS as the president and made a statement about my political agenda, and then someone in my administration came out and secretly countered, I'd fire them. That moment, you're fired.
Seriously.
It's why
Trump said he was going to release the JFK documents. He didn't do it. He couldn't do it because there was someone above him said, "No, you're not."
It's one of the
There's a
reasons why
lizard
I
person. What is it?
love.
You say yeah?
What you said, lizard person? No, I didn't say yeah to that. But
one of the things that one of the reasons the person I'm most excited about running for office right now is running in Washington State, Dan Crenshaw. But one of the things that got him to run was that his wife was in Syria when they lied about the numbers. And
Dan Crenshaw?
I'm sorry, Dan Crenshaw.
I'm like,
oh
he's
my
in Texas.
gosh!
Who are you
Holy
talking
cow! I
about?
can't believe I said Dan Crenshaw. Joe Kent. Joe Kent.
Yeah, there you
And his wife was. He has
With a couple of young hunks. I know where you're headed.
Wasn't well, one is. Wasn't has Joe Kent ever been on?
No.
Yes, yeah.
Or has
Joe
he?
Kent was
I wasn't on that show.
right?
If he
And
was.
it's like his wife was one of the ones who died because they lied to him when Trump was like, "What's going on in Syria?" And they were like, "Just tell him this, tell him this, tell him this." They lied, and so Joe Kent is like, "You guys killed my wife
wasn't with
because you're more powerful than
were?
President Trump."
Maybe.
Bill Gates, by the way,
Oh, Joe
is
Kent's the
bragging
best.
today. Bill Gates came out on MSNBC. They were playing a video clip of him, and he says, the president of the United States, Donald Trump at the time, came to me. He asked to be an advisor. I said no. And then Donald Trump asked me if I needed to do an independent commission on the effects of vaccines. Bill Gates says he told him to absolutely not to do it because it was a, quote, dead end, and the president of the United States listened to him and listened to the advice of Bill Gates and didn't do a commission investigation into what's really happening right now. And now the data is still being hidden away from everyone, with the FDA hiding information about what actually happened and transpired within the last few years, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah. And it's got to be all financially, going back to this issue of the stocks, it's all financial incentives. It's not just because people, I believe so passionately about Syria that I'm going to lie about the data. It's like, no, you're doing this because you have ulterior motives.
We've got, we call it a cult, but it's mass formation psychosis.
Yeah.
Well, here I'm looking at the definition of madness: a state of severe mental illness, not non-technical. So you could argue that Biden's in a state of madness right now; that he's the mad president, or a mad president. Behavior or thinking that is very foolish or dangerous.
Yeah, but
saying that we're going to invade Taiwan when apparently the White House's statement is
invade Taiwan.
Right. Defend Taiwan. Send troops there against the will of the people.
No, Taiwan wants us to defend
If they want us, then it wouldn't be an invasion. But if they didn't ask for it and we went there to defend democracy, then it would technically be a counter-invasion.
Unless you think it is China, then we are invading.
And so apparently the policy is we're not going to mention it, but he mentioned it anyway. So that's a state of foolish or dangerous thinking. I don't know.
Well, look. The problem here is, I think a lot of people recognized that it was dangerous what Biden said, that he's risking World War III. I think the Hodge twins said, Grandpa's about to get us into World War III. And I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, but Trump had that phone call where he was like, they thought we would nuke them if they took Russia, if Russia took Ukraine or China took Taiwan. And he's like, and I don't know if they believed me, but maybe 5%, so it was enough. And I'm like, that's crazy and scary. But see, that's Trump being like, that level of aggression. So my issue here is not that Joe Biden said we will defend Taiwan. I actually can respect that, because when he was asked about it twice, he goes, yes, definitively, no question. My problem is somebody in the White House is defying him and trying to assert some kind of authority over his stated policy positions.
And is super pro-China. This entire White House is. And I always have to go back to environmental issues, but if you really want to defend Taiwan so sincerely from an invasion of China, then you would be seeking policies that weaken China. And yet we're spending $386 billion to buy solar panels and wind turbines from China.
And lithium batteries.
And lithium, exactly. Our whole policy is pro-China.
And we gave them Afghanistan. We literally gave them Afghanistan on a
minerals.
silver platter
Yep.
and all the raw minerals. As soon as the United States military left, the Chinese engineers and the Chinese companies came right in, and now we're going to be going through a green revolution, going to be energy independent. We're not going to be independent. We're just buying lithium batteries from China. China, that of course has record CO2 emissions. They're doing this to help the environment. The environment's going to be screwed over even more, allegedly, according to
And
their own
we're-
and data. But what's going to change is we're going to be investing in China, and China is going to be controlling our energy sector, which is crazy.
And we
Going to be?
Yeah, and we're removing tariffs from China.
Yeah. If we move away from fossil fuels and we go towards lithium batteries and solar panels, China essentially will have a control on the market.
Yeah.
They don't have it yet because of fossil fuels. The petrodollar has the control on the market, but China will have a huge control.
Thanks
think
for the plug.
Elon also has mentioned
Fossil
that
fuels.
lithium's not the future of battery power. He knows that as well. I don't have a story pulled up about it. but-
Graphene, maybe,
Yeah, I
right?
think
Graphene,
he actually
yeah,
has recently
graphene.
been looking into graphene batteries.
Oh, wow, yeah, graphene.
Yeah,
Graphene,
graphene.
huh?
Power of the future
Graphene.
with graphene.
I was when I was in Texas doing this youth conference, because there are a bunch of rural folks on I Love Rural America, and we talked about the Ford F-150, the Lightning one, and I just told them about how a Wall Street Journal guy was driving it with an empty 2-horse trailer, and after 100 miles, the battery was dead. And I was like, how many of you haul 15?
The electric one.
The electric one. Empty 2-horse trailer, 100 miles dead. And I was like, how many of you haul 15,000, 20,000 pounds of cattle on a weekly basis? And so, you know, so of course Elon knows the future of lithium is it doesn't have the horsepower. It doesn't have the strength. It doesn't, that's why, you know, and it's cool. And that's why little Duracells are great. And that's why batteries in your iPhones are great. But to compare just the potential energy of what is needed to power elevators and to power airplanes, you know,
It's nonsensical, and it's moving towards a pathway where, of course, they will be limiting people's movement, and that is the end game
Bingo.
towards the green revolution that we're going towards. It's the thing behind the screen. It's behind the cover. That's essentially where we're heading towards.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's this story that I'm seeing going around. They're saying that Ram's going to drop the EcoDiesel V6 or whatever. So a lot of people it's 33 miles per gallon. It's the Ram Turbo Diesel 3-liter V6 or whatever. A lot of people are bringing this up because, you know, Ram's going to be moving forward with like an electric truck or some sort. But you were just talking about how it went 100 miles and then died.
It was dead. Yeah. So I mean, if you need to haul anything of weight, as of now, the electric vehicles can't make it. They may revolutionize electric cars and electric trucks someday, and the future is bright. We may get there, but the fact of the matter is we're not there. So if you think I'm just going to get my electric truck and do what I do with my fossil fuel truck, you're kidding yourself. You can't haul substantial weight. The same reason why when they said we finally got this airplane to fly from JFK to France on battery power or on solar panels, I was like, yeah, it was unmanned and it had nothing but batteries. It was a toy, you know. You just can't compete with the actual energy released from the hydrocarbons of fossil fuels. You can't. Nuclear could.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.